Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go, here I go.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of The Take. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, of course, and in today's episode, we've got a lot of NFL action to go through. We're going to recap the Eagles-Commanders game from last night. There was a lot that happened there, so we're going to give you the full breakdowns, and then we'll talk about, this weekend's games. You'll give you my picks, of course. So let's go ahead and get into this episode because we do have a lot to get through. But like, subscribe, comment what you think of the episode, and also hit the notification bell so you know when I post on the Take podcast. Hope you guys have been enjoying the last couple episodes. So let's get right into the Eagles-Commanders game last night. So the Eagles win 26-18. They are on a 6-game winning streak right now. They've been on that since their bye week. So they've been on a fire. The Eagles have been starting to figure it out. They beat the Commanders in convincing fashion. I think the score doesn't really reflect on how dominant the Eagles were in this game. It was slow. I mean, the second half was a lot more scoring than the first. I mean, the Commanders scored a touchdown in the first half, and then they didn't score until the fourth quarter, a touchdown. So, I was a little shocked. I was expecting more of a shootout, kind of like the Bengals-Ravens game, but both of these defenses were really good last night. I mean, there were a couple passes. Like, there was one play where Jalen Hurts threw it to Devontae Smith in the end zone. The Washington corner was just right there. Just perfect defense. And I was a little surprised about the 4th and 2 with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They were on enemy territory at the 26th, the Washington Commanders, and they decided to go for it. And here's what Dan Quinn, the Washington Commanders head coach, said after the game about that play. He was explaining hey, we prepared for this. This is exactly what we were ready for. And Jane Daniels, he just fumbled the snap. So let's go ahead and hear his thoughts, and then we'll get right back into the pod, guys.
Biggest play, obviously, to go for it, and 4th down and 2 at the 26. Bold call, but I would also say we're prepared for that moment. Don't love the execution, but we've been an excellent 4th down team. So going into it, we knew we'd have to take our shots against a tough division team on the road. We thought that was an appropriate one. Certainly don't like the execution and the result, but we were prepared for that and being bold into those moments, knowing we'd have some 4th downs. But that's one we could fix.
All right, so he said, the execution wasn't great, which it wasn't. Jaden Daniels kind of fumbled the snap a little bit, and then he had to run the outside, which I thought he had the first down until the Eagles defender came out of nowhere and just hit him in the shoulder pads. I was like, uh-oh. I don't think it was the right call. 8 minutes left. You have the opportunity to get points. You have the opportunity to take the lead. Eagles, they score a touchdown after that. I mean, that was a big deal. And if the Commanders score a field goal there and the Eagles score that touchdown, Commanders are only down by 6. So they're not in a crazy deficit. But when they got the ball back, they just didn't do anything with it. Jaden Daniels threw an interception. So, I mean, it was just that was a call that decided the game. And sometimes that happens. And a lot of coaches nowadays are going for it on 4th down. And I like the aggressiveness, but sometimes when you're in the 26 and it's a pretty easy field goal for your kicker, I feel like you should take advantage of that. I mean, I disagreed with that call a little bit, but I mean, let's look at what showed out last night, which was Saquon Barkley. I mean, he has just been absolutely unbelievable. 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, was doing some amazing things after the catch. I mean, spinning around all the offensive linemen, making things happen. That's why Saquon Barkley is so great. He's such a great player. He is a huge difference maker. I mean, you can't. And Jalen Hurts last night, to me, he didn't look that great. I mean, he had one pass where he just completely missed A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown cooked the corner on the play. I mean, he literally was wide open, and Jalen Hurts threw it out of bounds. It was way to the left of A.J. Brown. I'm like, it was an out route. That should be the easiest route in football for a quarterback to throw. So, I was really confused there. I was like, okay, Jalen Hurts needs to get his stuff together. But, I mean, he had a tush push, which that's the only thing this guy can seem to be able to do is the tush push. I mean, that's all he seems to be good for. I mean, he's a pretty average quarterback when you watch him. There's nothing phenomenal about his game. And even though he's a dual threat, he's not the fastest guy. I mean, he's not that fast. I mean, he can run, yes, but like he's just big and strong. And he was taking some big hits last night. And he was in the medical tent right before halftime going through concussion protocol. So, and that he was cleared to play for the second half. But I mean, that's a little concerning for the Eagles. You can't have your quarterback taking hits like that, getting laid out on a consistent basis, running the football. I mean, you got to be a little bit more careful. I know he's a very run-heavy quarterback, and that's your offense, but sometimes the quarterback needs to just throw the ball. And especially when you got Saquon Barkley, I mean, screw it. He can just check it down to him whenever he wants. So I'm going to say, the Eagles, they looked good, but I think the Commanders were just a shade of themselves. I mean, Terry McLaurin didn't really show up like I thought he would. Now, the run game was good. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson looked really good last night. They had some explosive runs, but I just feel like for Jaden Daniels, something seemed a little bit off about him last night. He was underthrowing his receivers a little bit. He was a little inaccurate. He's throwing the ball behind people. I mean, I get it. He's a rookie, but for a guy who's been playing at as high of a level as he is, I expect a little bit more out of him, especially in a primetime game like this. So I think they definitely underperformed, and they had a chance at the end of the game to get back into it, but they just couldn't get the onside kick. I mean, the crazy thing is, like, 2 onside kicks have been converted this year out of 31 or 30 or something like that. Like, like, it's hard now. I mean, the Cowboys and the Bucs are the only 2 teams to do it, but to set that play up was a spectacular play by Zach Ertz. He had himself a phenomenal night last night. 6 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown for his homecoming because he's against his old team, the Eagles. I mean, he was a dog on the Eagles, but he had a great catch. Reminded me of Super Bowl 43, San Antonio Holmes toe tapper. It was the exact same thing. So this is the play of the week. We're going to go ahead and play this for you guys. It was absolutely an unbelievable play. So let's hear this right now.
I'm the last gen. What do you want me to tell you? Here's a 2-point try here. Daniels rolling, trying to get rid of it. Looking downfield. Can somebody get open? Well, now, yeah. Adrian Hill just announcing this is under review.
Beyond that, well, look at this guy. Look at the
Incredible.
effort. 34-year-old guy, former Eagle.
Yep.
Yeah, I was watching it live, and I'm not even gonna lie, I couldn't really tell at first if it was a catch. I was trying to look at the replay. I was like, oh my goodness, did he catch it? Did he not? And he didn't even look like he could see the ball. Like, he looked like he couldn't even see it. I was like, this is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that might be one of the greatest catches. Like, it has to be in the conversation. I mean, for you to be able to put your feet down like that, so difficult. It looked like he was out of bounds when he first caught it. And he's in the back end of his career. And for Zach Ertz to show up the way he did last night, that was pretty huge. He just needed everyone else around him to be better. That's all the Commanders were missing last night. But Zach Ertz, great play. That's our play of the week. I mean, that is just phenomenal. And his Eagles return, like I said, I mean, he played for the Eagles from 2013 to 2021. It was only his second touchdown, or excuse me, not his second. He had a touchdown in the game, but that was a phenomenal play. Phenomenal play. That put Washington down 8. It gave him an opportunity, but they couldn't execute after that. But that was a tough break for Washington. Tough game, but we're going to go ahead and move on here into the MVP conversation. We've been talking a lot about MVP. Who's going to win NFL MVP? And I think it's going to come down to 2 guys, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Now, that's funny. They're on the same team. But it's going to come down to those 2 guys. These guys have been absolutely phenomenal. And I want to talk about Lamar Jackson for a second here. Because this guy, he's been impressing me all season long. First of all, in 10 games, he has 24 touchdowns, which is the exact same amount he had last year. Okay? And then he's also got 2,669 yards passing, which is second in the NFL. He also leads the NFL in QBR at 76.9. So, I mean, he's been absolutely sensational. And only 2 interceptions. I mean, Lamar Jackson as a passer this season, he has progressed the way I've wanted him to. He's throwing the ball deep. He's making reads. He's not forcing the run. He's not forcing it. That's what I like. He's just out there, the play against the Bengals last Thursday night where he threw the ball to Rashad Bateman on 3rd and goal. He was a threat to run, but he threw it up like a Steph Curry shot. But as a defense, you have to go out to Lamar Jackson because he's always a threat. He's a threat anywhere. That's what makes a dual threat quarterback so good, is when you can run, but also you're an elite passer. And that's what I'm seeing from Lamar Jackson. And he could totally win his 3rd MVP this year. I mean, he definitely could. And the only player that could possibly stop him is his own teammate. So, I think the Ravens are in prime position right now. They got 2 MVP candidates behind the line of scrimmage, standing right next to each other. And Derrick Henry, he has been sensational. He's 1st in the league in rushing touchdowns. And he's just, this is his 3rd season already through 10 games with 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. His 3rd straight season doing that. I mean, that is insane. I mean, and he's old. Running backs this old are not supposed to be doing that. But Derrick Henry's a different beast. He's like 6'7". He's a freight train. Whenever you get in front of this guy, you're getting mowed over. That's what's going to happen every single time. And I love watching these 2 guys play. But if I had to pick, which guy is going to probably win the MVP, I mean, it's probably going to be Lamar Jackson just because he's a quarterback, because MVP is a quarterback award. We haven't seen a running back win one since 2012 when Adrian Peterson won it. But I mean, the thing is, I would love to see Derrick Henry get it because he's been the key to Lamar Jackson having the success he's had in the passing game. And he hasn't had to run nearly as much because Derrick Henry's been back there. So that's my argument for Derrick Henry as MVP. But we've got a little bit of an interview here. Tracy Wolfson, after the Week 9 win versus the Broncos, she asked Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry after the game, you guys are going to be chasing for MVP, so who do you think is going to win it between y'all? And here's what they had to say.
I know it's early, but you 2 are going to have to duke it out for the MVP later this season. How are you going to handle that?
No, that's his. That's his. He deserves it. He deserves it all, man. MVP. MV3, what we call it, MV3.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, so of course Derrick Henry is, he's going to be a team player, and Lamar's just sitting there kind of being like, I'm going to probably win my 3rd MVP. But they got a tough game going into this week. The Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a tough game. It's on the road. Good defense. The offense has been playing better for the Steelers. They just got Mike Williams. They beat the Commanders last week. So, I mean, if I'm going to go, I'm probably going to go Ravens on the road. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers won that game. I honestly wouldn't be shocked because the Ravens defense has just not been that great. I mean, they're struggling against the pass. They get exposed. I mean, against the Bengals, they were allowing so many yards. I mean, they were giving up 200-plus yards to Jamar Chase. Both games they played them. So, they can't really defend the pass well. They don't really get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I mean, that's the one thing that shocked me about the Ravens this year is that their defense has been so bad. And to beat teams like the Chiefs, you have to have a good defense, and you got to make stops when it's needed. And we're going to move on. Speaking of the Chiefs, I mean, the Chiefs and Bills, they're going head-to-head again in the regular season. And we know Josh Allen has been pretty good versus the Chiefs in the regular season. He's 3-1, but he's 0-3 against them in the playoffs. So this game right here, I mean, does it really matter? To a certain degree. To a certain degree. I mean, I don't think it matters an insane amount because it's the regular season. But the Chiefs, if they can somehow win this game and pull it out, I mean, they're going to be 10-0. They don't have Pacheco back yet, but he's about to come back. But you still got Kareem Hunt in there. And, oh, yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster is making his return this week. So that's a big plus for the Kansas City Chiefs. But they just barely beat the Broncos. It took them blocking a field goal to win that game. That's what doesn't make sense about this Chiefs team. They somehow win these games in the craziest fashion. They figure out ways to win. And that's exactly what Coach Sean McDermott said, who coaches the Bills, who knows exactly what it's like to lose this team. I mean, the Bills have lost in heartbreaking fashion time and time again to this team. And I always go back to the AFC Divisional 2 years ago, where it was overtime. And the Bills never got the ball back. I mean, every team that game was scoring every single time they had the ball. And it was just very unfortunate. And we saw it play out a couple weeks ago in overtime where, the Bucs and Chiefs, Mahomes gets the ball. It's like, man, it's over. I mean, when Mahomes gets the ball in overtime, I mean, he doesn't lose. He doesn't lose. He hasn't lost yet. So if this game goes to overtime, give me the Chiefs. Do I want the Bills to win? Yes. And I think Amari Cooper's going to play. He's got that wrist injury. But Keon Coleman is out. So that's a big deal because Keon Coleman has been pretty good. But I want to see Amari Cooper show up and have a big game. He needs to have one of those marquee games. He hasn't had one yet since getting traded to the Bills from the Browns. But Sean McDermott, he knows exactly what he's running into. And we're going to give Sean McDermott a couple seconds, to talk about what it's like playing this Chiefs team.
They've got a tremendous amount of poise. I think I mentioned this on Monday's call. Tremendous amount of poise, composure. They've been, to where many teams are trying to get to multiple times now. So I'm sure that's where some of the composure and poise comes from. And then this year with winning the ways that they've been able to win, coming from behind, having a lead and then opening up the lead. So they've won just about every way you could win.
Yeah, pretty much kind of what I said already. But, I mean, Andy Reid and Sean McDermott, they got some very deep history here. I mean, they were on the Eagles. McDermott was a scouting coordinator at the time in 1999. They've been in the same circles since then. Sean McDermott's in his 8th season in Buffalo. And although Sean McDermott's 4-1 against Andy Reid in the playoffs, Sean McDermott's 0-3 against him in the postseason. And I just referred to that. And last year, and this game, by the way, is at Orchard Park. So it's at home. But last time we saw these teams match up, Tyler Bass, he missed the field goal. Chiefs take it on the road. Chiefs hadn't played a road playoff game with Patrick Mahomes. And they won their first road playoff game with Patrick Mahomes in Orchard Park. And I'm going the Chiefs to win this game. I mean, the Chiefs just have the Bills' number, but I mean, it's a regular season, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills came out and won this game. I mean, Josh Allen this year has 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He's really cut down on the turnovers. He really has. He's also an MVP candidate as well. I don't think he'll win it, but I mean, his team's 8-2 to this point, so he definitely could. And the Bills are better than I thought they were going to be this year. I really thought the Bills were going to take a step back, losing Stephon Diggs, losing Gabriel Davis, losing Tre'Davious White on the defensive side of the ball, Leonard Floyd. I mean, they lost a lot of pieces, and they're still on the same level as they were. And I was talking to my boy Connor about this last week on the pod. We were both saying, like, this could be the Bills' best chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, not just in the regular season, but in the postseason. And that's very true. That's very true. And it's crazy to say that, too. I mean, we both said that. But, I mean, the problem is the Chiefs are off to such a hot start. I mean, they're only 1 win short of tying the team's longest win streak in franchise history. Like, that. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, I've seen the Chiefs go undefeated before with Alex Smith go 8-0. But, I mean, 9-0, I mean, we talked about this last week. I mean, if the Chiefs go 9-0, if the Chiefs go undefeated and they win the Super Bowl, I mean, that'd be the greatest season of all time. But I mean, the Buffalo Bills are hot. I mean, they're on a roll. They're 5-0. They're 8-2 for the first time since 1993, which is a pretty big deal, by the way. And I just think, you know, the Bills have really ran this AFC East. I mean, they're closing in on their fifth straight AFC East title. I mean, they own this division. They absolutely own it. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they own them in the playoffs. And regular season, I wouldn't be surprised if Bills won. But, I mean, the Bills have only had, like, one good win against the Arizona Cardinals. Let's move on to JB's picks. JB's picks, courtesy of Hard Rock Bets. Now, we've got 2 picks for you guys this week. The first one, I'm going Ravens money line versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I kind of already explained why I'm going that direction. I think the Ravens, they've been hot running the football. I think they're going to be very physical with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and their offense is going to unlock against the Steelers secondary. And if the Ravens defense can make some stops, maybe they can win this game. But I think Lamar Jackson's just playing at too high of a level right now. Derrick Henry's playing at too high of a level right now. So I'm going to go the Ravens on the road. And they're actually favored in this game. So and they're the number 1 offense in the NFL. The problem is the Ravens have the 26th ranked defense. So that's the issue. But the Steelers, they have the 8th ranked defense. So just to keep an eye on that. And then my second pick is Colts money line plus 185 versus the Jets at MetLife Stadium. Now, why do you guys think I'm going with the Colts here? I mean, Anthony Richardson coming back, which we'll talk about that in a second. But Devontae Adams is questionable with a wrist injury. He did not practice yesterday. So if he doesn't play, that could be a big deal. And Tyron Smith is also questionable with a neck injury. He did not practice on Wednesday, so that's not a good sign. Rodgers needs some protection. I mean, they've really been just so bad. I mean, the Jets have been atrocious. I mean, the Jets are 26th in offense. 26th. With Aaron Rodgers, I mean, they only scored 6 last week against the Cardinals. I mean, really? I mean, where the Jets have been underperforming like I've never seen. And ever since the interim head coach, Jeff Ulbrich, has came in, they're 1-4. They're 1-4. What? So they've done worse with Ulbrich than they did with Robert Saleh. That's wild. And then they traded Mike Williams. Why? Why would you do that? Like, if you're trying to win now, why would you trade Mike Williams? That trade made 0 sense, really. It really did. Like, I didn't get it. A receiving core with Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Mike Williams. Like, are you kidding me? That is stacked. And I think Aaron Rodgers is washed. He's washed. He did not look good last week against the Cardinals. And he hasn't really looked that great all season. I mean, the only game I can really say he's looked good in is against the Texans. And that wasn't impressive because the Texans have no pass rush. Like, and they still were getting to him. And this Jets line is not that good. So and Aaron Rodgers is also 1-3 versus the Colts in his career. So I'm going Colts money line here, and I think the Colts defense will get to him. I think they will. They've got DeForest Buckner. I love him at the pass rushing position, but the Colts offense is where it could get a little tricky for me, because if Anthony Richardson can play well, maybe they can win, but I don't know. I mean, I think the main problem has been that the Jets can't tackle. They missed 20 tackles versus the Cardinals last week. 20. That is a lot. I mean, are you serious? And that's according to Next Gen Stats. Like, and that's wild. Wild. I mean, what is that? I mean, And by the way, going into this game, this is a showdown between the NFL's second youngest starting quarterback and the league's oldest. So this will be interesting. And if Joe Flacco was playing, it would have been the battle between the oldest, which that would have been cool. But we'll move on since I'm getting into Anthony Richardson here. He's back as the starter, which is literally crazy to me. Against the Texans, he said, "I'm tired. I'm coming out." I've never seen a quarterback do that. Never. And you can't do that as a quarterback, especially when you're drafted 4th overall and you're supposed to be the franchise guy. You cannot do that and then get your job back. What is he learning? What is he learning? I can just say I'm tired. Joe Flacco's so old now, I can always just get it back. I mean, what is that? And it's not like Richardson's been good. He's always getting injured. I feel like he's such a big liability. I see the vision. He has a big arm. He's a big quarterback. But, I mean, he has a lot to prove. And Anthony Richardson talked about that. He talked about that earlier in the week. So let's go ahead and hear something from a little bit of Anthony Richardson. What he's got to prove.
I appreciate it, but, the only thing I'm willing to prove now is just that I'm willing to be the guy for this team. Anything they need from me, anything they ask of me, I'm going to try to do it the best way I can. Whether that's leadership, note-taking, meetings, play style, anything that they need from me, I'm willing to do that and showcase that for the team and for the fan base, because we all trying to win, that's the goal.
Well, I think that's a pretty PR answer there. I mean, we're trying to win, that's the goal. I mean, any quarterback could say that, but I think the problem what he kind of said here is like, he's got to prove that he's the guy. I can do this, I can do that. I'm willing to do anything that's asked of me. From previous actions 2 weeks ago, it really showed that you weren't ready to do anything for the team, and you weren't ready to be the guy, and you weren't ready for these responsibilities. And that's where I push back, because I don't think he's ready yet. It doesn't seem like he's mature enough. I mean, his completion percentage is dead last among 35 qualified quarterbacks. The difference between Richardson and Bryce Young is a similar gap. It's not good for him. And I know he's insanely talented, but you knew this coming out of Florida, that he wasn't a polished product yet. He played only barely 2 years in college. Florida wasn't great. And I get it. He has a good skill set, but I don't know if he has the mentality to be a guy in this league that can really take a team to the Super Bowl in the future. I just don't see it anymore because of the mentality. You've got guys on your team running routes, making blocks in your front, trying to protect you. You don't have to do anything. You scrambled a little bit and said you were tired. You need to come out. You gave up your starting job. You gave it up. What are you talking about here? You already proved that you're not the guy. You proved that. You said that when you were tired. I've never seen any person that wants to come out of a football game. No all-time great has wanted to come. Do you see Patrick Mahomes wanting to come out of a game because he's tired? No. He will have to have a broken leg before he comes out of the football game. That is a weak mentality by Anthony Richardson. It is. And it's not a mentality that you can have that is a leader of your team, because that is contagious. It gives everyone else a pass to say, hey, if you're feeling tired, you can always come out of the game whenever you want to. That just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. I'm not even a Colts fan, and it bothers me. And I know a couple guys that are Colts fans, and it's like, I asked them, is he really the guy then? I don't really know if he is. I don't know if he has what it takes. I really don't. And he hasn't really been that good. And he's been injured. He was injured all last season. He got hurt. So, I don't know. I mean, and if you give up your starting job to Joe Flacco and then you get it back, I mean, come on, what does that really tell you? What does that really tell you? But let's move on to the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bears, they fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and their new offensive coordinator is Thomas Brown. And, Travis Homer, who's on the Chicago Bears, played at the University of Miami from 2016 to 2018. He said having Thomas Brown as an offensive coordinator was awesome. So Matt Eberflus, the coach of the Bears, he talked about that move and what he brings to the Chicago Bears offense.
What I'm looking for the offense is creativity, working the guys into open positions on the field, and that takes creativity, but it takes everybody, working with everybody to be able to get that done. If it's Chris, if it's the running back coach, whoever it might be, using everybody to really do a good job to create that openness, in space to get our athletes in that area. So to me, it's always about that.
No dip, Sherlock. No dip, Matt Eberflus. Are you actually serious? Let's get creative on offense. Let's get our guys open. Of course you want your guys open. He should be fired. I think Matt Eberflus should have been fired too, if you ask me. I don't think he should be there. He doesn't need to be there. Right after the Commanders game, he said, well, it's not about the play before that. It's about the Hail Mary. And then you let, oh my God. Like, seriously, it is just, and then you let a player taunt before that. Tyreek Stevenson doesn't get cut. That's an organization that has no culture. None. I mean, I picked the Bears to win the NFC North. And I know my boy Gabe, he's like, I knew the Bears were going to be bad. I knew it. I'm like, okay, calm down, okay? Calm down. But like, this bad? No way I would have thought this bad. Let me give you this offense on paper. And I know if you're listening to this, Gabe, you're going to be like, oh, on paper. Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, who is washed now. I thought he was going to be better. DJ Moore, where has he been? Roma Dunze, who's been their best receiver, arguably. He literally has been their best receiver. And he hasn't been that great. Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. Good defense. What are we talking about, man? At the beginning of the season, I said who would ruin this Bears team? No one on the field. It's the coaching. The coaching stinks. It's so bad. The Bears are 30th in passing offense. How? What the how? How is that even possible? They're 30th overall. They're 24th in scoring. They can't score touchdowns. They can't. It's blowing my mind. Get creative. There's nothing crazy you have to get creative about. The offense hasn't scored a touchdown in 23 consecutive possessions. 23! They haven't scored a touchdown since the Commanders game. And this is an offense that should not be doing this bad. This bad? Please. Give me a break, man. The Bears are the Bears. I don't want to hear that excuse. I really don't. Because this team is underperforming of what they should be. They really are. I mean, it's absolutely insane how Shane Waldron in the first couple of weeks of the season could not do anything with this team. And then on top of that, this offensive line sucks. They can't protect the quarterback. And they've been banged up, I know. But it's crazy. When I watch this Bears film, I mean, the receivers aren't getting open. Caleb has no choice but to hold the ball. No choice. I mean, this looks like a repeat of Trubisky, of Fields. I mean, the Bears just managed to ruin any quarterback that has somewhat of a talent meter here. Like, if any quarterback's got any talent, the Bears seem to throw it out the garbage and be like, all right, let's put him back here. Let's not develop him. Let's see what he can do. I mean, seriously, we always go back to these what ifs of like, what if Patrick Mahomes was drafted to the Bears? Would he be in the league? You know, what if? Like, you have to fix this because the Bears cannot afford to waste a talent like Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams is a talented player. We've seen him extend plays. We've seen him do things. We know he's good. Whether it's in a Chicago Bears uniform or not, that's the question. That's the question. Can a Bears quarterback be good? Can they? I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. I really don't. And I don't think Caleb Williams is going to have success until Matt Eberflus isn't the coach. Go get Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions. That's what the Bears need to do. And they should have fired Matt Eberflus this season. Why are you letting him make decisions on the offensive play calling? He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. So you should get him out of there. I mean, it's nuts. Nuts. I mean, Caleb is on pace to be the third most sacked quarterback in NFL history. He is the most sacked quarterback in the game right now. This is nuts. Nuts. Caleb Williams how is Caleb Williams supposed to be great if he's on his butt every single play? He was sacked 9 times against the Patriots, who are not good. I mean, if you look at the Bears season, they shouldn't have beat the Titans. The teams they've beaten are garbage. They're absolutely garbage. I mean, the Bears are not a good football team. I really overestimated them. I really thought they had something else in them, but they don't, because the Bears just find any way to make greatness bad. Any way. They find any way possible. I don't know how it's possible, but they do. It's just nuts. And they're playing the Packers this week, who they haven't beaten since 2018. They haven't beaten them. I mean, the Packers have won 10 straight and 25 of the past 28 meetings. That includes the NFC Championship game in 2010. That is not good. That is not good. And that also ties the longest streak by either team in a rivalry match against Green Bay run from 1994 to 98. Like, oh my gosh. And the Packers haven't allowed more than 20 points in any of their past road victories over the Bears. The only other team to do that in Chicago was Green Bay in 1928 to 1930. The Packers own them. They own them. It's bad. And I'm not picking the Bears to win that game. The Packers are going to go in there and they're going to just completely run over the Chicago Bears football team. And this Bears season is over. It's going to be over. They have the toughest remaining schedule in the NFL. They have got the Packers, and this is not the right order. Vikings, and then they've got the Lions, and then they've got at San Francisco, at Detroit. I mean, good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. And then also Josh Jacobs, he is questionable in that game, and he's 4th in the league in rushing. I think he's going to play, but I mean, the Bears, they've went back-to-back games without a touchdown for the first time since 2004. I mean, they got to figure this out. I mean, they really got to figure this out. They cannot. If you're going to be an NFL team and you're going to want to try to win games, you got to put touchdowns on the board. I mean, that's a given. That's a given. And let's move on to my stupid Cowboys. First of all, we suck. I think it's time to rebuild. But according to Jerry Jones, it's not. So let's go ahead and hear from this clown.
You know, anybody that loses their top quarterback has some adjustments to make, and they're usually adjusting uphill. And so I thought that basically we'd look better tonight without Dak. I thought we'd look better on offense than we looked without Dak. Seen Cooper play better than we played tonight. Philadelphia's got a lot to do with that.
This guy is a joke. And honestly, I'm going to put my actual rant in here Fred did in the studio this week, and you're going to hear it right now.
Jackson, I got to ask you, what's going on with your team?
Well, first of all, Preston, we can't win at home. Is it even possible? At this point, I don't even know if we're going to win a home game. We haven't won one since December 30th of last year. And then on top of that, yonder owner, Jerry Jones, he has the audacity. We were better on offense. What? What? Am I on the same planet as this guy? Like, he's delusional all year. He goes all in, let's go all in. And then he makes the stupidest trade I've ever seen with Jonathan Mingo, gives up a draft pick that we actually need, by the way. But, it's an absolute disaster. Disaster. I mean, we've gotten beaten by so many teams. I mean, look, the Lions were our last home win. Guess what happened the last time we played them? We lost 47-9, no touchdowns on offense. And then he had the audacity to give Dak Prescott $60 million, the highest paid player in NFL history. Oh my God. Oh, I can't do it anymore. I can't do this. I can't. I'm so mad. Oh.
Okay, welcome back, guys. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy anymore to really get upset about this Cowboys team. I really don't. That's all the energy I had was earlier this week. But, I mean, this is just a disaster. An absolute disaster. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And we've got another primetime game coming up, Monday Night Football versus the Texans, a good football team. And, we got no hope. I think our best move, honestly, is to wait for the season to be over, fire Mike McCarthy, try to get Dion, draft Shedeur Sanders, see if we can make some magic happen with that. I mean, that's my hope. But I think we should totally rebuild. I think we should trade Micah. He's got a team option next year. I think we should pick that up, get him somewhere else where someone can actually pay him because we can't. We already paid Dak, the highest paid player in the NFL history, and we also gave CeeDee Lamb a bunch of money. So we don't really have the cap space. The Cowboys have the 26th most cap space. We're ranked 26th in cap space next season for the offseason at $809,110. That's not enough. It's not enough. We can't really build a team that way. And it's not really good the way we're doing it either. I mean, we're 0-5 at home in our last 5 home games. We haven't won a home game since December 30th, 2023, which I'm really wondering is about a little over a month away from that date. I wonder if it'll be at that point where we haven't won a home game yet, because I'll be waiting behind this mic for that moment, and I'm going to be talking about that, and I'm probably going to be a little more angry then. But, I mean, I just don't have much words to say. I mean, Cooper Rush had 45 yards passing, the fewest for a Dallas starter since late in 2015. So, I mean, this is not a better offense. I don't know what Jerry Jones is talking about here. It doesn't make a lot of sense. He was better without Cooper. And also a great job by throwing your $60 million quarterback under the bus. Tore his hamstring. Might be the biggest regret to sign up. It might be the worst contract in the NFL outside Deshaun Watson. I mean, I think Dak Prescott tearing your hamstring is a pretty big deal. Usually that's a tough injury to come back from, and he already wasn't mobile. So now he's a pure pocket passer when he comes back. But I mean, we're stuck. I mean, we're inefficient on offense. We're inefficient on defense. We can't stop the run. We can't do anything. We've also had a lot of injuries. Deron Bland, he's been out a while. I don't even know when he's coming back. I don't even know if there's no point in him coming back. And then Trayvon Diggs, he's looked like a flash of himself. He tore his ACL. He has not looked good at all coming back. DeMarvion Overshown has been literally our guy. I mean, he leads our team in sacks with 4. And that's pitiful. Every time I just don't really have the energy to yell anymore. It's honestly kind of sad. It's kind of it's really disappointing because I'm honestly glad that our season's over now because now I can focus on the draft. But I mean, I don't want a lot of these quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, if Carson Beck comes to Dallas, I may not watch for a long time. I mean, I really may not. I really won't. And it sucks to have a team this bad. You know, last year we were second in the NFC. We had home field, and we just couldn't get it done. And, you know, Cowboys have had good regular season, but, you know, every team is judged by their playoff success. Every player in this league is judged by their playoff success. I mean, that's how you're remembered. And if you can't win the playoffs and you can't have success and, you know, you can't have good ownership and have consistency within your organization, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we're seeing, you know, organizations like the Bears, you know, Cowboys, Panthers, Jaguars. I mean, teams that just don't know what they're doing. And I think, you know, the Cowboys are obviously an exception because this is our first season we've really been this bad for a long time. I mean, I can't recall any Cowboys team for my 22 years of existence of us being this bad. You know, 3-6, and I think we're on our way to a 3-8 record heading into Thanksgiving Day against the Giants. I mean, I think that's inevitable. And, you know, I don't know what we're doing with Trey Lance. We traded a 3rd-round pick for him, and we're not giving him an opportunity to really shine. I don't think he's that good, but I want to see what we got there because I don't want him to sit on the bench, you know, behind Cooper Rush, who's, you know, not a good player. He's been a career backup, so I want to see Trey Lance get an opportunity, and then, you know, hey, if he's not good, we can get rid of him. We can start over. I mean, but the Cowboys got to start from scratch. We got to really start from scratch here because that's the only way to rebuild this team. I mean, this team is just trying to hold on by a thread, remain mid, remain competitive enough to possibly make the playoffs, and it's just not going to work. So until Jerry gets that through his head, I really don't think anything's going to change. And I don't think it's going to change, period, until he's the owner. And the Dallas Cowboys, you know, he's taken, you know, all the yonder credit here for, you know, this offense, you know, I improved it, you know, but, you know, I do a lot of great things, you know what I mean? You know, you know, I'm getting ready for the Jake Paul, you know, Mike Tyson fight, you know, on Friday because, you know, I just like a lot of things about that, you know, make me money. Also, I'm going to build a Roger Penske, a race car track for IndyCar. You know, I'm not really focused on my football team, you know, Dallas Cowboys, you know, the season's over. But I got optimism. Our offense can be better. You know what I mean? We scored 21 points against the Falcons. We scored 6. You know, I think 6 is better than 21. I mean, that's basically what this idiot clown owner said. I mean, that's basically what he said. I mean, he needs to step aside. He needs to step aside. I mean, and Cowboys fans should be calling for his head. You can't fire an owner, but we should be calling for his head. We should all be going to Jerry Jones' world here and holding up signs and going, get him out, get him out, get him out, because he needs to leave. There's nothing. We're not going to win until he's not the owner anymore. I mean, that's the facts. And the problem is, I don't really even know if Stephen Jones even knows what he's doing because he's not doing anything. I mean, he's probably Jerry's puppet. I mean, at that point, and it's just annoying. And no owner in the NFL talks to the media besides Jerry Jones. I mean, Jerry Jones' press conference is longer than Mike McCarthy, and he's the head coach of the football team. I mean, that should tell you everything. And then we got tours going on in the practice facility when we're trying to get locked in. I mean, how are you supposed? I mean, Dalton Schultz even said it. He's on the Texans now. When he left the Cowboys, he said it was kind of hard to lock in there. Maybe that's why we're not winning, because our guys can't be focused. I mean, we got Jerry Jones, for crying out loud, flying on a helicopter into practice. I mean, seriously, this is so stupid. Like, my God, bro. Yeah, my teams suck. I mean, they're really bad. I mean, the only team I really have hope for this year is my fantasy team. I'm 12-8. You know, I had Jalen Hurts, Zach Ertz did well for me last night, but I just don't. Yeah, but we're going to go ahead and end it on that one, guys. Thank you guys for watching, by the way. Like, subscribe, comment what you guys think, and also hit the notification bell so you do not miss anything related to the Take Podcast. But I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, and I will see you guys in the episode next week. Peace out.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my